Hello, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Who handles all the communications for F1? F1? Yeah? Okay, that was a trick question. I thought I'll just check whether everybody's awake or not. What has F1 got to do with LP WAN, right? We're not talking about F1 in here. Uh, yeah, I'm from Tata Communications. My name is V.S. Sridhar. I'm recently been given this responsibility for handling the IoT business. I've had a long track record with this company. And this company, Tata Communications, as you know, has been handling mega bandwidths, right? Huge. We know that gateway into India through Mumbai or Cochin or Chennai comes through Tata Communications. And we handle gigabits, if not terabits of data. We handle about 5 terabits of data and all. So why did this company, which was thinking about so much of, wholesale and enterprise kind of bandwidth, think about narrowband? That is where the relationship is within Formula One and this. So we have this interesting contest in this company, in our company, called Shape the Future, in which a lot of innovation and ideas are presented. And these ideas actually came from people, right? 2 years ago, there was a person by the name Eric Torres, who is a colleague of mine in my group now. And he came up with this idea saying that while the world is going towards broadband, people are looking at 2G, 3G, 4G, 5G, and whatnot. But you know what? The machines don't require that. The machines require very narrow band. The machines don't have to communicate all the time. They have to communicate at a given interval. But when they communicate, they have to get a lot of priority, absolute priority on the network. And there has to be a latency and a quality of service requirement that has to be fulfilled as well. So there was born the idea that we need to create a network which is dedicated just for the machines. What I'm going to tell you in the course of 8 to 10 minutes is our journey in terms of how this happened, what kind of selection we made, and how we are doing right now. So let me see if technology works and helps me. Okay, so far so good. Yeah. So the first one is why LP WAN. My colleagues here have been eloquently, or rather waxing eloquently, on the fact that LP WAN is required. It is required for innovation. It is required for IoT. We know so much on why it is required. So 70%, would you know that 70% of all devices actually talk less than 50 kbps? Is that a well-known thing? Probably not. It was startling to me as well. When you look at some 15 billion devices, if you think of 70% of those devices communicating, here is where my colleague on the panel was talking about 2 megahertz in here, which could prove quite a challenge. So if these devices start communicating, then we have quite a challenge. The second thing that is required is, in LP WAN, we are talking about battery life, which has to be long. Just imagine if billions of devices are spread all over the place. The lights have LP WAN technology, the air conditioning has, the agricultural fields have, and so on. Then all of them, if you start replacing battery every day, like what you do for your cell phone, is that possible? Practically impossible, right? It has to be few years. So that is where this technology talks about the fact that it has to be a battery that once you charge it, it has to be there years. We're not talking months or days. It has to be years. Then the fact that it has to be pre-installed and pre-configured. We also talked about the fact that there are when you go to the GSM network operators, they have these chips which you have to adjust and configure it, reconfigure, or Wi-Fi which you have to configure, reconfigure. That's not possible. So you have to have a device which goes in there and it is ready to go. And it has to be low price as well. Here we are talking of pennies, cents, paise, and so on. So that's the reason why LP WAN is so important for IoT, and that holds innovation. So the second chart is basically talking about how globally the wide area network connections are going to grow. It's not very clear in here, unfortunately, but let me explain that to you. The red chart is basically a fixed line which is going down, but track the green line. The green line is where the LP WAN is actually going really, really steep, right? And you have the others like 3G, 4G, and 2G also coming up. So the message on the center chart is, yes, these devices are going to go significantly very high. And the third one, the chart that you see is LP WAN versus the others. If you see, there are 3 parameters on LP WAN which scores over the other technologies. You can name the technology, right? The 3G, 2G based or a 4G based technology that is coming in. It's the first to do is with the range. LoRa is long range, but low power. Long range is each of the base stations covers 4 times the range of a normal base station. That is, if we cover a city like Bangalore, only 25% of the GSM requirements would be required to be deployed in case of a LoRa or a LPWAN kind of a thing, right? So it's about 4 times the thing. The second thing is in terms of coverage, this one talks about 1.5 to 2 kilometers, one single base station, so you can cover a lot more. Then the third one is, you talked about the latency. Latency, while it could not, it's a significant strength here. It depends on, of course, the physical laws, because the LoRaWAN, this thing talks to the tower of the base station directly. It's not a mesh where you're talking to the various routers in here. You put a device, it talks to the tower directly. So that's why the latency is such a big kind of a plus point in this. So the blue one is basically telling you the 3 key messages, that it has got long range, it's got in terms of geographical coverage. But what is important is if you look at all the price points, right? The power consumption is extremely low. The bandwidth, this is an important thing. These chipsets require less than 50 kbps bandwidth. It's very, very, very low. Then you have the chipset cost is very low. Subscription cost is again low. And this is the kind of a thing that a comparison which I'll share with you in greater detail if you ask for it, but this is publicly available as well. So this is why LPWAN actually scores significantly over other technologies. Now let's look at how LoRa, I talked about LoRa, which is long range and low power ecosystem. It's got about 350 plus partners. Before this, we are talking about this session where LoRa is gaining a lot of prominence. Here is the reason why, right? You have all the big names in here. You have lots of logos. The big logos, you see IBM, Cisco, lots of them are talking about this. You have 350 plus partners. Semtech is the chipset manufacturer. Today we have a center of excellence that has got created in Mumbai along with Semtech. So India can afford to get access or almost ready-made access to whatever is available. In fact, I've had some case studies where I had to get stuff from Korea or from Germany and so on, which was enabled through this center of excellence which we have in Mumbai, which has got recently created. Yeah, then we have this LoRa. It is deployed in about 27 countries. In India, we have it in Bangalore, Mumbai, and Delhi, already deployed. This is ready for trials in here, and we can help you come up with products and solutions for this. Rest of India, we're going to cover in about 18 months' time. So India customer engagements. The first one, this is my last chart. The first one is asset tracking. There are devices that, like this communicate directly to the network, right? There are devices for human safety that you can see. There are devices for energy management and security and smart city applications. And what I want to tell you is, these devices that have got created, this one is for example for room temperature and moisture and all. These have been created in Bangalore with a workshop which we conducted through Tata Communications and Semtech. In about 2 months' time, we had a Bangalore-based startup which had created this one. Right? That I think is a fantastic achievement, and that gives me a lot of hope in terms of creating new products and services from this very city. So all these products that have been lined out, except for a couple of them, have all been created and manufactured in India. So the smart city one, in terms of the water meters and electric meters, just a word about it. We are trying to create the first smart city in Jamshedpur, which a lot of these will be deployed, which will be the 4th city which will be deploying the LoRa network. So this is about the use cases. What I want to tell you is ready, happening, and you can experiment, you can contribute, and you can grow the ecosystem and innovate along with us. Thank you so much for hearing me.